What if the world already needed your expertise, but simply couldn't see it? Imagine spending 20 years building a career. You've led teams, solved difficult problems, made decisions when everyone else was afraid to act. You've earned experience that could genuinely change someone's business. And yet, when people search for you online, they find almost nothing that communicates the person you've become. No clear authority. No memorable presence. No story. Just a few scattered profiles, an outdated photograph, and a digital footprint that says far less than your real career ever could. That was the problem facing Michael Reynolds. And what happened next taught him something every executive, consultant, founder, and business leader needs to understand. Your online presence is no longer just a reflection of your career, it has become part of your career. But Michael didn't understand that at first. And if he hadn't discovered one crucial truth before it was too late, he might have lost the opportunity that could completely change his professional future. Stay with this story until the end, because the final lesson wasn't about social media. It wasn't about followers. And, surprisingly, it wasn't even about personal branding. It was about something much deeper. Michael was 52. For nearly 3 decades, he had built an impressive career in business leadership. He had managed departments, advised companies, negotiated major contracts, and mentored younger executives. Inside professional circles, people respected him. Whenever there was a difficult problem, Michael was the person people called. But there was one problem. Outside those circles, almost nobody knew who he was. One Monday morning, Michael received an invitation to speak at a private leadership event. The organizers had heard about his work through a former colleague. They wanted him to speak about business transformation. Michael was excited. This could open new doors, potential consulting clients, board opportunities, strategic partnerships, perhaps even a completely new chapter in his career. He accepted immediately. Then something unexpected happened. 2 days before the event, the organizer called. "Michael, we have a small concern." Michael's heart sank. "What kind of concern?" "We've been promoting the speakers. When people search for you, there's very little information available." Michael laughed nervously. "Well, I don't really focus on promoting myself." There was silence on the other end. Then the organizer said something Michael would remember for years. "That's exactly the problem." That sentence stayed with him. That evening, Michael searched his own name. And for the first time, he looked at himself through the eyes of a stranger. His LinkedIn profile was incomplete. His professional photograph was several years old. His achievements were listed, but there was no story connecting them. His website looked like it had been created years ago and forgotten. There were no thought leadership articles, no meaningful videos, no clear explanation of what he actually helped businesses achieve. His career was impressive. His digital presence was invisible. And then Michael noticed something that made him uncomfortable. A younger consultant, with less than half his experience, appeared far more credible online. The consultant had videos, articles, interviews, case studies, a clear personal message. And thousands of people were beginning to associate his name with business strategy. Michael stared at the screen. Then he whispered, "He isn't more experienced than me." And immediately came the uncomfortable question, "So why does everyone think he is?" The next morning, Michael contacted a virtual brand consultant. Her name was Sophia Carter. Their first meeting lasted less than an hour. Michael expected her to talk about logos, colors, social media posts, and website design. Instead, Sophia asked him a question. "What do you want people to think when they hear your name?" Michael paused. "Experienced." Sophia smiled. "That's not enough." "Trusted?" "Better." "Successful?" "Still not enough." Michael frowned. Sophia leaned forward. "Michael, your problem isn't that you don't have a brand. You have one. You've been building it for 30 years. The problem is that your digital presence isn't communicating the brand you've already earned." That changed everything. Sophia explained that virtual brand consulting wasn't about creating a fake image. It was about translating real expertise into a digital experience. Your website, your professional profile, your content, your photographs, your videos, your speaking appearances, your online messaging, your reputation. All of these pieces were telling a story. The question was whether they were telling the right story. Michael suddenly understood. He didn't need to become someone else. He needed to make the world understand who he already was. Sophia began with one simple exercise. She asked Michael to write down 3 things. What do you know? What do you solve? Why should anyone trust you? Michael filled several pages. But Sophia wasn't finished. She asked him to remove everything that sounded impressive but vague. Words like leadership, strategy, success, transformation, excellence, vision. Then she asked, what specific problems have you spent your career solving? Michael thought deeply. And suddenly, his answers became much more powerful. He helped organizations navigate difficult transitions. He helped executives make decisions during uncertainty. He helped leadership teams align people around strategic change. He helped businesses turn complicated problems into practical action. There it was. The foundation of his executive brand. Not a title. Not a collection of impressive words. A clear promise of value. Sophia then rebuilt his online positioning around that promise. His profile was rewritten. His website was redesigned around his expertise. His professional photograph was updated. His biography became a story instead of a resume. His achievements were connected to outcomes. And most importantly, his content began answering the questions his ideal clients were already asking. Michael started publishing short insights about leadership. He recorded simple videos explaining lessons from his career. He shared stories about mistakes he had made and what those mistakes taught him. For the first time, his online presence sounded like Michael. Not a corporate brochure. Not a marketing machine. A human being with experience. And something remarkable happened. People began responding. A former colleague commented, "I've worked with Michael for 15 years. This is exactly how he thinks." Another person wrote, "I've never heard anyone explain this problem so clearly." Then came the message that changed everything. A CEO contacted Michael privately. "I've been following your recent posts. We have a leadership problem inside our company. Could we talk?" Michael stared at the message. 1 month earlier, he had been invisible online. Now someone had discovered him without a referral. But Sophia wasn't celebrating yet. Instead, she said, "This is where the real test begins." Michael looked confused. "What test?" Sophia replied, "Visibility can get attention. Your executive presence has to earn trust." And that distinction would become the most important lesson of Michael's transformation. Because getting noticed was only the beginning. Michael had finally begun appearing on people's radar. But there was a hidden problem. The more visible he became, the more people started watching him. Potential clients, competitors, industry leaders, former colleagues, and people who had never met him. Now Michael had something to protect. His reputation. And just when everything seemed to be moving in the right direction, one unexpected online comment threatened to expose the biggest weakness in his new executive brand. What happened next would determine whether Michael had built a genuine executive presence or simply created another polished online image. Michael had spent nearly 30 years building a respected career. But online, his expertise was almost invisible. With the help of virtual brand consulting, he transformed his digital presence. His message became clearer. His content became more authentic. And people finally began discovering the expertise he had spent decades developing. Then came the moment he wasn't prepared for. Because once people start noticing you, they don't just notice your successes. They notice your mistakes too. 3 weeks after Michael began publishing regularly, one of his videos gained unexpected attention. The video was simple. Michael talked about a leadership mistake he had made early in his career. He explained how his obsession with efficiency had caused him to overlook the emotional side of organizational change. The video wasn't polished. There was no expensive studio, no dramatic music. Just Michael sitting in his office, speaking honestly. Thousands of people watched it. Then, one comment appeared. It came from a former colleague. "You're talking about leadership now? I remember when your own team left because of your management style." Michael froze. His first instinct was to delete the comment. His second instinct was to respond angrily. He typed a reply, then deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Finally, he called Sophia. "Someone is attacking me publicly." Sophia remained calm. "Is what they said completely untrue?" Michael paused. "No." That answer changed the conversation. Sophia said, "Then don't defend yourself." Michael couldn't believe it. "Don't defend myself? Tell the truth." Michael sat silently. Sophia continued, "Your executive presence isn't built by pretending you've never made mistakes. It is built by demonstrating that you've learned from them." That night, Michael wrote a response. He didn't attack his former colleague. He didn't make excuses. He didn't try to hide the past. He wrote, "You're right that I made serious leadership mistakes early in my career. I was too focused on results and not focused enough on people. Losing talented team members forced me to confront that weakness. It became one of the most important leadership lessons of my career." Then he added, "Experience isn't about never getting leadership wrong. It's about becoming better because you got it wrong." He posted it. Michael expected criticism. Instead, something completely different happened. People began sharing the response. Executives commented about their own mistakes. Business owners talked about difficult leadership moments. One CEO wrote, "This is the kind of honesty I wish more executives showed online." And Michael finally understood something. Authenticity wasn't weakness. It was credibility. Sophia later explained why that moment mattered. "Michael, people don't trust executives because they're perfect. They trust executives who are believable." His online presence now had 3 essential elements. Authority. His experience demonstrated that he knew what he was talking about. Clarity. His messaging showed exactly what problems he could solve. And humanity. His stories showed that there was a real person behind the expertise. That combination created something far more powerful than visibility. It created executive presence. Michael's opportunities began changing. He was invited onto a business podcast. Then another. A leadership organization asked him to deliver a virtual masterclass. A company contacted him about executive advisory work. And eventually, the CEO who had originally messaged him became one of his consulting clients. But the biggest transformation wasn't financial. It was psychological. Michael no longer felt like he was trying to prove himself. He felt like he was communicating himself. There was a difference. A huge difference. 6 months later, Michael received an email. The sender was a company he had admired for years. They were searching for an external strategic advisor. The role would involve working directly with senior leadership. They had interviewed several candidates. Michael wasn't the youngest. He wasn't the most famous. And he certainly didn't have the largest social media following. But the hiring director told him something unexpected. "We've been reading your articles and watching your videos. We already understand how you think." Michael smiled. The director continued, "We feel like we know you before we've even met you." That sentence stopped Michael. Because that was exactly what his virtual brand strategy had been designed to accomplish. Not to make him famous. Not to make him look important. But to allow his expertise, values, personality, and leadership philosophy to arrive in the room before he did. One evening, Michael met Sophia for coffee. He looked at his phone. His profile had thousands of followers now. His website received regular traffic. His videos were being shared. His consulting calendar was filling. But Michael wasn't interested in the numbers. He asked Sophia, "Do you remember what you told me during our first meeting?" Sophia smiled. Which part? You said my problem wasn't that I didn't have a brand. You said I had been building one for 30 years. Sophia nodded. Michael looked out the window. I finally understand. My brand wasn't created online. It was created through every decision I made. Every person I helped. Every mistake I survived. Every lesson I learned. Every problem I solved. Sophia smiled. And the internet simply gave you a way to communicate it. Exactly. That is the deeper meaning of virtual brand consulting. It isn't about manufacturing an executive image. It is about uncovering the value that already exists and creating a digital ecosystem capable of communicating it consistently. Because your website says something, your LinkedIn profile says something, your videos say something, your photographs say something, the way you respond to criticism says something, even your silence says something. The question isn't whether you have an online brand. You do. The real question is, what is your online brand saying about you when you're not there to explain it? Think about your own career for a moment. Perhaps you've spent 10 years building expertise. Maybe 20. Maybe 30. You've helped people. You've solved problems. You've survived difficult moments. You've learned lessons that could save another entrepreneur years of frustration. But if someone discovered you online tonight, would they understand that? Would they know what makes you different? Would they understand what you can help them accomplish? Would they trust you enough to start a conversation? Or would they simply scroll past? That is why executive presence online matters. Because opportunities don't always arrive through people you already know. Sometimes they arrive through someone who discovered you 5 minutes ago. Someone searching for an expert. Someone looking for a solution. Someone comparing leaders. Someone deciding who deserves a seat at the table. And when that person searches your name, you won't be there to explain your experience. Your digital presence will speak for you. Make sure it tells the truth. Michael didn't become a different person. He didn't suddenly become an influencer. He didn't chase millions of followers. He simply made his digital presence worthy of the career he had already built. And that may be the most important lesson of all. Your executive brand isn't about looking bigger than you are. It's about making your real value impossible to overlook. So if you've been waiting to build your online presence because you think you need more experience, you may already have enough. If you've been waiting because you don't know what to say, start with what you know. If you've been waiting because you're afraid of being judged, remember Michael's lesson. Authenticity doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. And if you've been waiting because you think personal branding is about self-promotion, think again. The strongest executive brands don't simply say, "Look at me." They say, "Here's what I've learned, here's how I can help, and here's why you can trust me." That is how expertise becomes influence. That is how visibility becomes credibility. And that is how an online presence becomes a genuine executive presence. If this story gave you a new perspective on your own executive brand, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video if you found it valuable. Share it with an executive, entrepreneur, consultant, or business leader who needs to hear this message. And tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you want people to understand about you when they find you online? And if you want more powerful stories, practical branding lessons, executive branding strategies, and digital business insights like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because your expertise deserves to be seen. Your experience deserves to be heard. And your next opportunity may already be searching for you. The question is, when it finds you, will your online presence be ready?